Welcome to Weeping Willow Homestead, and today I have June's garden tour for you. If you are new here, I would encourage you to go back and watch May's garden tour because it will maybe explain some things and you'll get to see the huge difference in plant sizes and whatnot as everything has grown exponentially over the last month. And if you aren't new here, welcome back. So this is our kitchen garden. So it's the smaller of our two gardens, and it's the one that's just kind of right outside the house, maybe like 50 feet out of the house. So the general idea behind a kitchen garden is you plant the things that you are going to harvest and use immediately in the kitchen, things that you aren't going to like can or freeze or put up in some way. That has not worked out for us in this garden, which is fine. It's not a big deal. Generally what happens is the first things that need planted, this is the one that they get planted in. Because it's smaller, it's easier to get worked up and ready. And so yeah, that's what happens. So these are the potatoes. They are looking great. We have had them flower, and so that means that they are producing potatoes down in the ground. I have not tried digging any up. I could dig up some like new potatoes right now. I just have chosen not to yet. But everything is looking good. They're all healthy looking. Potatoes, we will know when they are ready to harvest because the plants will start dying. So I'm not seeing that a whole lot yet. I'm seeing like maybe a little bit, but we also just got over a really long, really hot, really dry spell. So that can play into that as well. In between these two rows of potatoes, I just randomly planted, and yes, there are weeds. Like I said, we just got over a really nasty hot spell. Hello, little butterflies. Those are actually cabbage moths. The bane of anyone who grows brassicas. Anyway, yeah, I know it's weedy in certain areas. I'm doing my best, but like I said, we just got off of some really nasty hot weather, and so I did not get out and work in the garden a whole lot. And then also we have had a slow rolling cold working through our house that has come with lots of just fatigue and just feeling yucky. Also just the being mom, having to be up with kids to assist them if they're coughing or, you know, have a sore throat or whatnot. So anyway, my garden has taken a toll over the last couple of weeks, but we're back at it. So anyway, in between these two rows, I have just planted some random carrots. They are definitely not ready yet. Like I'm not even seeing the tops forming yet. So we got a ways to go on those. And then radishes, and those are about done for the year. Once it gets hot, the radishes get spicy. So I will use them in cooking because they lose their spiciness, but otherwise I just won't plant again until the fall. So if you were here last month, you know how big this end of the garden has grown. It's huge. I'm so glad that I spaced them the way that I did. I feel like that's done a great job. So this is all of our brassicas. These are two cauliflower plants. They are not forming heads yet. We're waiting on that. They should anytime. There is our lone peanut plant that we had a friend of ours that bought us the lone peanut plant. It is not looking great. I don't know what else to do for it. I've never grown peanuts before. It's getting plenty of water, plenty of sunshine. I don't know. So we're going to see. Through here, obviously, there's weeds back there. Where each one of these sticks is, I have planted zucchini. I was having a really hard time getting seeds to germinate in that hot spell. I was trying something different with the zucchini on waiting until later in the season to plant it because I've heard that that helps with the squash beetles. So we'll see. But I did get those planted, and hopefully that batch will germinate well. So the broccoli was an experiment this year on buying plants. In the past, I have always self-seeded, like started from seed indoors as early as like February, and just never was able to get decent heads. So these, I'm going to go ahead and get in the garden. Here we go. So the way broccoli works is you have the main stem, and it creates a crown, and then it sets these offshoots off. So you get to harvest twice. Obviously, these won't be much, but they're perfect like size for like a charcuterie board, snack board, veggie tray, that kind of thing. So these, I planted two varieties. These were artwork, and the other are emerald. The artwork developed earlier. They made smaller crowns, more like what you would see in the grocery store. So totally fine. I have harvested quite a bit off of them, and they are doing great. But So then I separated those. The cabbages are doing great. I have several heads that need picked, and I am probably going to find someone to give some of these to because I just don't know what to do with all of them. I still have sauerkraut from last year. Do you know of a way of preserving cabbage besides sauerkraut? Because everything that I'm seeing says it doesn't freeze well because it gets like mushy. And I have dehydrated it in the past, but I don't have a really, like, a lot of uses for dehydrated. I'd like to try some different things with it, but I would hate to dehydrate 5 heads of cabbage and then find out that it didn't work. So if you have something that you do with cabbage, some kind of relish or something other than sauerkraut. I mean, we can eat a lot of sauerkraut, but only so much. So yeah, if you know of some other way of harvesting these and preserving them, please let me know, because they're gorgeous and I hate to see them go to waste. They won't go to waste. I will give them away before I let them rot. But heck, I would feed them to my chickens before I let them rot. But, you know. Okay, so the other variety of broccoli was, this is the emerald, right? I think emerald. They produced monster heads. That's not even the biggest one. They are gigantic. I am totally doing this again next year. I have already decided this was worth the investment of, they were a little over $1 a piece. That is way more than $1 worth of buying broccoli from the grocery store. So yeah, there's another one that's ready. I need to come out and pick it today. This one isn't ready. You can see it's still really tight and very dark green compared to this one. It is loose, but also a nice dark green. But you can see it's a little bit looser. If you wait too long, I wish I had one that I had waited too long on, you will start to see them turn brown. And if you wait even longer, they will bloom, because I don't know if you know that broccoli is a flower. So they will bloom into these beautiful little yellow flowers, but then you can't really eat it. So pick it before then. But yeah, huge heads of broccoli. I have been spraying, but like I said, I had that like 2 weeks of not, and it's showing, because like that's supposed to be a cabbage. They're a bit chewed up, but those little white things, those little white mobs. So the thing you put on for that is something called BT. You can just Google it or like look it up on Amazon. And it's an all-natural spray. You can, I don't think you should, but you could just spray it right in your mouth. But it's a spray that you spray on them. You have to reapply it every time it rains. It's the biggest issue. But it doesn't taste good to the white moths, so they won't lay. They won't land on the plants, so they won't lay their eggs on the plants, so that then you don't get caterpillars. So that's the idea behind that. So I am definitely doing the broccoli again next year, buying from the local greenhouse. That was totally worth it. The only issue is that I am not a big fan of frozen broccoli. I don't like the texture of it. So I can use it. I'll still use it. Like, I'm not, like, once again, I'm not letting this go to waste. But my thought process on it is that anytime that I need it for like a casserole, or like we eat a lot of broccoli and ham soup during the winter, anything like that, that's what I'll use this for. And then I may still end up buying some broccoli, because this isn't enough broccoli for us for a year, I doubt. Maybe, we'll see. But that will also give me an idea. I will keep track of how many packages of broccoli, how many plants I planted, and then next year I might make the goal of, if it wasn't enough, to plant more. If it was enough, to plant less, or plant about the same amount. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Although obviously next year my kids will all be bigger and eating more, because I will have a teenage son starting next year. He will be 13 next year, so I'm sure my grocery budget's going to have to increase. My husband and I joke about, we should get a milk cow or a milk goat or something, you know, but yeah, space. So, all right, I'm going to pause this and I will walk over to the kitchen garden, or the big garden, right quick. Okay, we'll go ahead and just turn this into a full-blown homestead update. Here's the chickens, the guineas, and the goose. They are all doing great. You can see they have beautiful foliage and shelters and nice clean water, all that to live off of. This smaller coop here is our chicks that we got this spring. They are teenagers now, so they are hanging out in there until they are big enough to hold their own with the main flock. because, are you going to try to crow for me? Because, sorry, that's our roo right there. Because they are on the smaller side still, and the goose, he's a guard goose, so his job is to protect our flock, and he does that to the point where he is seeing them as enemies right now. He guards them, like he stands over by that coop almost constantly, just trying to get to them. There have been a couple of times when one of them has gotten out, and he chased after them, and they wanted to go right back into the coop. So we're gonna see how they handle it. The other thing that we will do when we first open them up is that we will put a stake in the ground to where the door only opens enough that they can only get in. The larger chickens will not be able to fit in, and that way the goose can't get to them, and then the bigger chickens can't get to their feed because they will need constant access to feed, whereas we only feed the main flock once a day and then let them free range, or well, not free range, but eat off the grass the rest of the time. So, all right, we're gonna swing over to the main garden. So here, right off the bat, we have sweet potatoes. Some of them are doing great, some of them aren't. These two are kind of the best looking ones. That one down there isn't too bad either. And that's just a for fun thing. I love growing potatoes and sweet potatoes because it is so fun to dig potatoes. So fun. So that's what those are. Green beans was one of the areas that I had a really hard time. Every year I have a hit and miss garden where, like last year, it was all of my vining plants got taken out by the vine borer beetles. But my tomatoes and my green beans did great. This year, it's my tomatoes and my green beans that are struggling a little bit more. So that it just kind of happens that way. So I planted a patch of green beans and none of them came up. I don't know what happened, whether they germinated and then dried out or what, but like almost none of them came up. So we redid and planted again, and this time they came up okay. There's some areas where they were a little spacey, so I have come out and replanted there, like reseeded there. And then I've also come out, so these are about 2 to 3 weeks old. And then just this week I planted another row. So that will be nice because then these will be what I use for eating fresh, but then also canning, freezing, that kind of thing. And then the last row will be like that secondary, as the rest of the garden is dying, having more fresh green beans so that we have fresh green beans all summer long is the goal on that one. The tomatoes, I have 6 varieties of cherry tomatoes and 6 varieties of regular tomatoes, like slicing tomatoes, and 1 Roma. The idea behind that is to have, I planted 6 different kinds of cherry tomatoes, and they're all different colors and shapes and sizes, with the plan to donate extra to the food pantry, and it just makes for a beautiful donation of like all different colors. They're just always so pretty. So that's the goal with that, because obviously if you are growing for your family, for our family of 7, 2 cherry tomato plants would probably be plenty. And we eat a lot of cherry tomatoes. So keep that in mind. Do not plant a bunch of cherry tomatoes because they will be coming out your ears. So the next 2 is the fenced rows. We planted spring peas on them and they did amazing. So we generally like to pick snow peas, spring peas when they're this shape, like flat and thin. They have better flavor. They're sweeter. They are not chewy. So we have picked and picked and picked and ate and froze. So now we are purposely letting them go to seed so that we can open them. Here, let's see if I can get one open one-handed here. So that we can open them and have shelling peas, just like you would get in the can or frozen. So we are letting the rest of them do that. I've been coming out every few days and picking whatever's ready. And then in between them, I've planted cucumbers. So here, the peas will probably be done. So you can see they're starting to die off. They don't like this heat. They will probably be done within the next 2 weeks or so max. And then the cucumbers will be taking over. I've already seen some flowering on the cucumbers. So I did those cucumbers, and then this fence, I just planted some about a week ago. So they are still little bitty. One random cosmos. that came back from last year. So I will, when I pull the peas, I will then plant another planting of cucumbers, and that will give us what's called succession planting. That will give us cucumbers all summer long. I hope that wind is not blowing in you guys' ear. Basil is doing great. I have already picked one big bunch off of it, and then I had fully intended on coming out and planting something else here, some herb, and I didn't. I did have dill come up self-seed in my herb bed that was turned into a garlic bed this year. So I did get garlic or dill off of that. Peppers are doing okay. I did come out and do what's called topping them, which is you break off the main stem on the top and it causes them to bush out more. So instead of growing the one main, if you can see that, the one main stem, all of the side branches are going to grow, and it's supposed to make a shorter, healthier plant that produces more. So we're going to see. This is a combination of bell peppers, snack peppers, and banana peppers, because I want to can some pickled banana peppers to do like the Mississippi pot roast thing with throughout the year, because yum. And pot roast is one of those fairly inexpensive beef cuts. The next two rows are zinnias, which are starting to bloom, and then sunflowers. The zinnias are blooming smaller than they usually are. We had a really, really long, cool spring, and then all of a sudden hot. And so I think things were stunted on growth, on not growing super fast, and then they went, oh gosh, it's hot, we need to bloom. So yeah, the sunflowers are taller than my 4-year-old now. Especially that one. That one's nice and big. And eventually they will get upwards of 10 feet tall. So here's my tip on sunflowers. At the end of this year, the end of the growing year, so like October, November, go into Dollar Tree and they will put all of their packets of seeds on sale, like 4 of them for $1 kind of thing, like cheap. I go in there and I buy sunflower seeds of just any variety. I've saved seed from the mammoth sunflowers, but like all of the other ones, I pick up ones that are every size, shape, color, all of that. And then I just mix all the seeds together and I plant the row. So you're going to have in here, you're going to have some of the 10-foot tall mammoth ones and some of these short, like multiple flowers on a stem ones. And they will just be so pretty. I love doing this every year. I wish I had more places to put them. I did transplant a bunch over on that fence row over there because they were growing in the garden from where the sunflowers last year had died and the seeds had spread, and I just didn't have the heart to kill them off, so I transplanted them over there. All right, vining plants are going to be hit and miss this year, and I'm really going to put up the good fight against the vine borer beetles. I have already been spreading diatomaceous earth, and I've got the BT handy. If I absolutely have to, I really don't want to, but if I have to, I will get 7 Dust and use it. I really hate to, because I really try not to use any kind of nasty chemical that I would not want on my food, but I want some food. So this first row is spaghetti squash, and we are getting this one. We are getting spaghetti squash setting on. See the little babies? Yay, because I love spaghetti squash. This row is, some of them aren't doing so great because I've had to replant them. I know there's blue Hubbard squash, which is a, what's called a trap crop. So you plant it and the vine borer beetles love them, and so they will attack them and leave your other plants alone. So that one and that one are that. I don't know what the rest of the stuff is because my tags, like where I wrote on them, the sun bleached them out, and so I don't know what it is. I know there is probably delicata. There should be, I didn't plant any loofahs this year. There's some other, maybe a pumpkin. I don't know. It is what it is. This one didn't come up, which is fine because this one is huge. So that's its base. It goes all the way over there and all the way over here. So that's why we do such a big area for the vining plants, is because they're going to take over. That is watermelon for sure, because I can tell by the leaves. There's another watermelon down here. This, once again, I came out and just replanted. That one down there didn't come up. These two should be a cantaloupe and maybe a kajari, or Kahari. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. So we'll see. I don't know. I am an avant-garde gardener, aren't I? Some things I stick to the book, and other things I'm just like, let's just throw some seeds in the ground and see what happens. So, also, mulberry tree is just about done for the year. Raspberries and blackberries are just about done for the year. Strawberries are done for the year. The raspberries usually will bear some fruit toward the end of the summer as well. And then the apple trees are producing well. They did their what's called June drop, which is apple trees produce an overabundance of apples, and then in May, June, they drop all the extras. So they drop off what they know they can't support. So they are looking good though. Like the trees themselves look healthy. We'll see though, because it's a corn year. Obviously we are surrounded on 3 sides by corn. And so they will end up crop dusting. And I have noticed every time they crop dust, the trees look a little iffy afterwards. So one of the negatives of living in farm country. But yeah, we got a bunch of raspberries, including extra packages for the freezer that I will use to make jam, and then like cobblers for church to get togethers, desserts, breakfast for dinner, those kind of things. And then, excuse me, we also got 6 cups of cherries from our tart cherry tree, which is the first time we have ever gotten enough off of it to warrant doing anything with. And those I will probably end up either making a tart cherry pie with at some point, or making some tart cherry jam. Tart cherry jam, that's it. Yeah, so we'll see. That was a fun one that me and my 3 youngest kiddos went out and picked, like a gallon bucket in one day. So like in just like an hour or so. So all right, that is everything. Maybe we'll pop over here and see the chicks right quick. I will post some pictures at the end of this video of some of our harvests on, just so you guys can see how things are doing, some of the things that we've harvested already this year. It's always so exciting just seeing the fruits of your labor. There we go. Let's see. There's our teenagers. They're doing good. They need moved. I try to move them about every other day, so I get fresh grass. But we did lose 2 of them. We started out with, okay, hang on. Sorry, big tractor going by. We lost 2 of them. One of them, mysterious death. We don't know what happened. The other one, we have unfortunately had this happen one other time before. In moving this, you just drag it, and one of them stuck its neck under the thing, and in one little move, it broke its neck. And that's unfortunately part of it. I absolutely, like, I cried. I sat and cried because I had killed the chicken. I felt awful. So yeah, it happens, but that's one of the best pieces of advice I ever received was, if you're going to have livestock, prepare to have dead stock too, because it just happens. So, but everybody else is doing good. Hi, Mama. These are some of my favorite, the barred rock. Oh, she gonna peck me. Oh, she gonna peck me. Here, eat a leaf. You want a leaf? Don't eat my fingers. All right, so tell me if you have something that's growing amazing this year, let me know. If you have something that's a fail this year, let me know. If you have any tips on any of the things that I'm struggling with, let me know. That peanut plant, tell me what I'm doing wrong, because like I said, I've never grown peanut plants. I've done a little bit of research, but I can't figure out what's off with it. If I need to fertilize in some way or something like that. But if it fails, it fails. It's not the end of the year. It's not the end of the world. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye and God bless.